1.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Brookline Select Board meeting for Thursday, December 1st. Any announcements or updates from Select Board members? I know we are all trying to get to First Light, which is going on this evening in Coolidge Corner. Chaz, our town administrator, will be at Brookline Bank at what time?
6 o'clock.
Great. Hope many of us can make it. Any other updates? Miriam, you look like you have an update. No? Bernard?
Yes, I'm going to try to make First Light, but it depends on how much time we have. But there's also a Rotary event at the VFW Hall, so that has priority for me. But I don't deny the importance of First Light.
Yes, I'm speaking, unfortunately, on the very first warrant article at town meeting tonight, so it will be
Oh, that would be
interesting to try to make both. We'll see. Okay, so moving into public comment. I don't see John, so if you wish to make a public comment, this is the time to do that. Please let Devin Fields know that you would like to do that. You'll have up to 3 minutes. Please make your comments and refrain from personal attacks or addressing personnel issues. You'll be reminded that you have 30 seconds to go. Anyone signed up for public comment, Devin?
At this time, there are 4 attendees, and no one has used the hand raise or Q&A feature to indicate they'd like to make a comment.
Okay, well then we will move right along into the miscellaneous calendar. The minutes are being held because they're not quite ready from our last meeting on November 29th, which was only 2 days ago. So I will read the rest of the miscellaneous calendar agenda, and then I'll call the roll. I move approval of the authorization to hire request for a junior civil engineer in the Engineering and Transportation Division of the Department of Public Works, approving the authorization to hire request for the vacant senior housing planner in the Planning Housing Division of the Planning and Community Development Department, accepting the following 4 donations in the total amount of $3,100 for the Recreation Therapy Program. Donation number 1 is from Jeffrey Simmons and Patricia Zaremba Simmons in the amount of $100. Donation number 2 is from Molly Adams and Zach Weiner in the amount of $125. Donation 3 is from Mike and Susan Weiner, $375, and donation 4 is from the Ruiz family, owners of Little Children's Schoolhouse Incorporated, in the amount of $2,500. We thank them very much for thinking of the town. I move approval of authorizing the chair to execute the town of Brookline's fiscal year 2023 home subrecipient agreement in the amount of $252,000, $252,865. Moving approval of the proposed contract amendment number 9 with Left Field LLC in the amount of $852.50 for printing of bid documents for terrazzo floor change. Moving approval for the proposed change order number 16 with Gilbane Building Company in the amount of $7,473 for various scope changes as described in an attachment. Moving approval of proposed change order number 17 with Gilbane Building Company in the amount of $59,562 for Eversource conduit rework and changes to light fixtures. Approving the proposed change order number 6 with Lambrian Construction in the amount of $174,611 for various scope changes as described in an attachment. And finally, moving approval of the proposed contract amendment number 30 with William Ron Architects in the amount of $89,658 for streetscape design and construction administration. Any questions or comments before I call the roll? Seeing none, All those in favor, Bernard,
Aye.
Miriam,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye.
We need more
First-
3-person meetings.
First up on our agenda are interviews with people who have expressed interest in serving on our Commission on Disability. Devin, which candidate do we have first? Oh, welcome, Mike Salmon.
Sorry to be late.
But you're here.
Miriam?
Yeah, I would just like to point out to everybody that one of the, there are actually 3 candidates, and one of them has answered questions in a email that is in your packet. Because of his disability, he has opted not to have see,
A virtual
Thank
interview.
thank you. He's opted to answer questions rather than present himself to the select board.
Great. Thank you for reminding us of that. Sarah Lynn Allaire, hello.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Yes, same here.
So
And
is this a re-up?
This is a redux. Yes.
But are you still on the commission?
No, I'll tell you what happened is that I think as you know, and at least some of you know, I was chair of the commission between 2016 and September of 2021, and I really wanted to continue after that. But unfortunately, 2021 was just a terrible year for me health-wise. I just went from one problem to the next, and I finally realized at the end of the summer that I just didn't have the time or energy to give to the commission what it deserves. So I decided to resign my chairmanship, and I also decided to resign as a member because I wanted somebody to step in who did have time and energy to give to commission. But I was able to continue to some involvement with the commission after that. I attended most of the public meetings, most of the meetings by Zoom. And fortunately, my health has improved a lot. Things have gone a lot better for me this year. And so I now am feeling that I have the time and energy to give to the commission, and I would really like to do so.
Great. You look great.
Thank you. Thank you. And in terms of what I would bring to commission, first of all, it's a perspective as a person with a disability. And I think that's very important. And secondly, it's a good knowledge of the federal and state disability related laws. I got this from my my career work in the field of rehabilitation counseling, and also from my years of experience as being chair. And it's easy to forget about these laws and regulations I've found. And so to help members remember and be more aware of them, this past year, I wrote 2 documents about them. The first was a document that compared the federal and state laws about areas like housing and transportation and so forth. And then the most recent one was about the accessibility parking fine fund that is for Brookline Commission to use on behalf of people with disabilities. And I gave the information about the regulation, state regulation, as well as what Brookline had used it for and what other commissions have used it for. So I could go on and tell you what I want to do in the future if I'm elected to the commission, but maybe I should allow you to ask questions first.
I would love to hear that, but let's take a pause to see if there are any burning questions from select board members. Bernard.
Well, I'll ask the obvious question. What are your plans going forward? But also specifically, talk to me about issues of education, because there's a lot of misinformation in town about disability issues and our responsibilities on that. So if you could add that into your description of what you'd like to do going forward.
Well, that certainly is a role of the commission. and as well as the ADA coordinator. And we work closely, the commission works closely with the ADA coordinator, of course. But before I had left the commission, and actually before the pandemic, one of the things we were working on was trying to increase communication and contact with more people with disabilities in Brookline, because we were a small group and we really found that, first of all, we had a lot of information that we wanted to get out to other people with disabilities and their families. And we needed a way to do that. And then also, Ben Franco had suggested a number of years ago when he was the select board member that we conduct a needs assessment so we can find out what the needs are for people with disabilities, and that would help us address them. So in terms of communicating with people with disabilities, we developed, you may have seen an accessibility Brookline accessibility column that was printed a few times in the tab before it went under, and is now under the community corner section of the patch. And that's been very successful. It comes out once a month and just provides a variety of information. And then in terms of the needs assessment, it's a tricky thing we found because of the complexities of defining who is a person with a disability. It's not an easy thing. And so we worked in this and that and the other thing. Not long before the pandemic, I had found out that there is another commission in another community that did manage to conduct a needs assessment. So I would like to get back to that and contact the community, find out how they did it, and explore other ways so we can hopefully conduct a needs assessment. In terms of education, of the government, town government, are you thinking, Bernard?
Well, I mean, yeah, resources of the town government, but also, what is a disability, and what are people's obligations with respect to disability? I'm thinking of sidewalk obstructions, for example. And I'm sure a lot of people don't think about that as impeding the ability of people with disabilities to get around town, so things like that.
Yeah, well,
And Miriam has actually mentioned a few things that people are just uninformed about that maybe she can add.
right. Well, sidewalk obstructions has been something we've worked on for quite a while, and members worked on the warrant article that required pruning of hedges. It's particularly an issue for people in wheelchairs. We have two wheelchair users on the commission, and then the ADA coordinator is also a wheelchair user. And then I believe members participated in the snow removal warrant article too. So, and the other thing we've been trying to educate people about was the outdoor dining. So the ADA coordinator, as well as the commission, will work with people in the town about that, and helping to assure that people with disabilities could get to the seating, whether it's in the street or on the sidewalk, and that their way wasn't being impeded too. That was a problem for a while in the beginning, that it was blocking the sidewalk. So Miriam, I don't know if you can think of something else.
Well, certainly one of the things that I brought up is I'm a big fan of the low hanging fruit. So making sure that we have alt text, Parks and Recs or any other town affiliated department is sending out a flyer. We should have alt text enabled so that those who need it can access those PDF flyers. And that's part of the language access, I think, that Chaz and I have already talked about. I think a lot of that it's easy to do. We just don't think about doing it. And I think closed captioning for Zoom meetings is a perfect example. I don't want to hijack this interview, but even just when I became a high school parent, it was frankly alarming to me how few of the many important introductory meetings did not have closed captioning, and the folks running those meetings on behalf of the schools or the town didn't even know how to turn those on as an option. So that stuff's easy, right? We just have to actually get out there and make people understand it's important and give them the tools to do it. So I think, but I'm already on this commission.
Well, it's,
Oh, that's right.
closed captioning has become easier. But once the town meeting goes hybrid, that will be another challenge. And we'll have to decide about how to address it there at town meeting.
Mm. Well, you won't be the only person burdened with figuring that out. John Van Scoyac has his hand up.
And Sarah Lynn, it's very good to see you here, and I want to apologize for being late to this meeting, but I won't tell you what I've been dealing with that got me all distracted before the meeting started. But I'm glad to see you here. And when I saw that you were on the agenda and that you are on the agenda because of an interest in an appointment, I thought this must be a mistake because we just bid a very sad farewell to Sarah Lynn not too long ago, and now I've done a complete kind of reversal in my mood. I'm so glad that you're back and interested in returning to the commission as well. So welcome back.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
I still think of myself as kind of a newbie on the select board. I'm still in my first term. And one of the things I've been thinking about lately is I would love to figure out if there can be more regular interaction or communication between the select board and certain commissions, and the Disability Commission is one, but there's others. The Arts Commission is another, the Women's Commission is another. We have these very, very important commissions with people of strong qualifications to advise us on matters. And sometimes I wonder if, we should do more to say, what's on your mind lately? Is there anything we should be doing that you think, needs to be drawn to our attention and needs to get more attention from the town? So I don't know if you have any thoughts in that direction as to how the commissions and the select board can maybe interact with one another more frequently or to greater effect than they now do, or maybe we're doing fine. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, one thing I realized I didn't do as a chair was ask the select board member to give a report about what was happening with the select board. So, I'm not the chair now. Jim Lee is, and he's doing a great job, but that could be something. I don't know if you could find room in the agenda each month to ask Miriam, more work for you, Miriam, but give a little report about what the select board is doing, and then see how we might interact or work together on things.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, as I say, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I will say Jim Lee is doing a great job as chair. I do not desire to be chair, and I'm fully supportive of his chairmanship.
I know the feeling. Okay, well, we have another applicant to consider. But thank you very much. We will be making a decision at a later time, but good to see you. So
Okay,
glad
thank
that you are feeling so much better.
Thank you very much.
Do we have that other applicant? He seems to have dropped off.
I just sent an email.
Okay,
If I hear from them, I'll let you know.
great. So moving into unfinished business, i.e. warrant articles. Can you promote Melissa? Thank you. Because she needs to remind me what is likely to be taken up tonight. I know collective bargaining, but we already kind of reconsidered that on Tuesday. Is there any other stuff? I see Mike Salmon trying to interject. You're muted, Mike.
Yeah, sorry. Question for Bernard. Are we expecting your 31 will come up tonight or?
It's on the schedule.
Yeah, it's on the schedule, but it's on the schedule for last night too.
Yeah,
I'd be very shocked if we made it to 31.
We're
Yeah,
aver-
this
we're
point, we
averaging
did.
2.5 a night.
yeah, I know. Yeah, okay.
But
But-
on the docket is 2, 28, 29, and 31. So that's what was set out for today.
Right.
But
Well,
there's
yeah.
no new information about any of those, correct?
None of those, new information that the board, if you want to take a, maybe do it on Tuesday, 41, there is a revised petitioner motion on that one. And then there is, Bs. I don't think you've seen the, very minor changes that the petitioner had on the B article that is in, the supplement, night 6 supplements, Article 33, supplement 1.
Is 31 the pool?
31 is, no, 30, I'm sorry, 41 is, the, overlay, the overlay district.
Oh, right, the housing. The housing.
That
overlay.
amendment is very minor too. It just strikes a line.
Okay. And should we wait until Tuesday? Or come into compliance with other boards and commissions and the petitioners?
I guess it's a question of, I mean, I can pull it up now. We can look at it together. If you feel comfortable voting on it, you can. Otherwise, you can wait and do it on Tuesday before town meeting starts.
As much as I want to do it tonight to get it out of the way, I'm just worried that further changes will happen. So I'm
You
thinking,
mean not changes that we initiate.
right.
Okay.
So maybe we should wait until Tuesday. How many more warrant articles are there?
98? Did we break 100?
But that's a good question. How many are there left?
I think
It's-
Melissa's counting right
Yeah,
now.
I mean, it's like, I gotta remember the ones that have been withdrawn as I look at the index here. So, after tonight, we probably have seven, it seems like we might have left. If I'm
Okay,
if I'm counting
so
correctly.
all of next week.
Hey, do you mind sending us a list of those, your list of, articles that have been acted on and those that are still outstanding?
Sure.
Thank you, Melissa.
Keeping up with that stuff is just, I mean, if you have the list already done, I mean, don't go create something for me.
I'll put something together. It's not a big, it'll be good for me to do it anyway, so.
Just use 2 different color fonts. That's it, right? Like, this is done. This is.
Yeah.
Somebody tell me if I'm supposed to be speaking on any of those, because as far as I know, I'm,
Oh, I have the list here somewhere. Hold on.
Thank you, Mike.
We had a little bit of confusion over it with 11, 12, and 13, but so it goes. Select board assignments. 39 we've done. Oh, sorry, that was me.
We need to assign someone to 41.
Yeah,
we
there
haven't-
was nobody listed. for
Nobody's taken a
41.
position on it, so it'll be kind of a quick assignment once you take your vote.
Right.
That's the housing overlay? I thought we did take a position.
I don't have a
thought-
vote on
I
record
thought we
for you.
did too. Maybe we
Oh.
discussed it and never voted.
I believe you discussed it and didn't vote on it, but we'll reconfirm.
Yeah.
We
Wow.
should vote on
Because
that,
I know
yeah.
the
Yeah, we
petitioner came in front of us. We
Petitioners
talked
came
about
and
it.
presented to you, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then John is on for 36, resolution regarding the town's payment in lieu of taxes.
Yep, I have John assigned to that one.
So maybe we should actually vote on 41 tonight.
Oh, and
So that-
Bernard's on for beekeeping.
But
What's the buzz on that?
All right, don't get them, don't rile the hive.
could we talk about 36 for just a minute?
Which one
one's
is that?
That's the pilot article that, was sort of packaged with,
Yeah.
what was it, 14, Mike? What was the?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yes.
So, we gave it our best shot, but town meeting disagreed with us on the
Oh, yeah, that's
publication of the
what we did.
pilot information. And I'm wondering if that affects whether we want to stick with our prior position on this article or, bow to the vote that already occurred. There seems to be an interest on the part of town meeting in pursuing some further exploration of things that the town could do to improve its pilot payments. I'm going to find it very difficult to kind of continue the fight. Just from a personal point of view, having heard from town meeting on publishing the pilot information.
So Miriam had a very convincing argument how the two differ, and she's got her hand up. So I hope that she.
I mean, that was
reiterate.
just what I was going to say. To me, the only thing that makes these two similar is that they're addressing pilot, right? The Article 14 was really a transparent, however you fell on it, it was really about, publishing the pilot numbers. It was a transparency warrant article. And 36 is actually about who kind of controls the conversation and who's in charge of the negotiations. And so I think they're actually quite different, which is why, of course, I voted in favor of 14 and against 36. And certainly my stance on that is not going to change. I think somebody's going to have to remind me, but I think 36 was talking about a moderators committee.
Yes.
And I think that's just, I just can't get behind that. And that doesn't change. Again, because I really think they're really different animals, right? One, yes, they're both about pilots, but really that's the only thing that that keeps these together in our conversation.
I would almost describe it as one is more external, so publishing, to an external audience, what we're getting from these entities, and the other one is more internal, who's at the table, what kinds of, policies or procedures do we follow? I don't want to make more work for Miriam, but there's no substitute for speaking from the heart.
No,
No. Who's supposed to speak on that? John, are you supposed to?
Yes.
I'm supposed to
If you
speak
really-
on it and
If you really don't want to, I can, but I don't really want to.
well, but I don't want to because I no longer sort of feel the conviction that I felt before, but I want to discuss, if people will indulge me just a couple minutes, a little bit further on why I don't feel that the same way anymore. It isn't just that town meeting voted as it did on 14. It also has to do with subsequent conversations I had. I won't go into details, but that led me to believe that maybe we are at risk of appearing a little bit too intransigent on other people offering opinions that might be helpful, or offering ideas that might be helpful as to how we could improve our pilot payments. And I compare it to the situation that we have been in for a while now with the Moderators Committee to follow up on the BFAC recommendations. I feel like we have new people in place now who might be a little bit more accommodating at the staff level to things like, interest by the Moderators Committee monitoring BFAC implementation in having a healthy dialogue on that subject. And they might be more interested in having a healthy dialogue, with a Moderators Committee that is looking into pilot payments. I won't try to speak for Chaz or anyone else in this conversation. If Chaz wants to enter in, I hope he will. But again, having had those conversations, having sort of had them because of the setback that we suffered in our position on Article 14, I feel like maybe we should turn this into an opportunity to signal a change of approach, that we don't want to be the ones always pushing back whenever there are gestures towards can some more people get involved with trying to contribute ideas to what we could do about this.
Miriam, you have your hands up. I also have some thoughts on this, but but
You
you
can-
go first.
Okay, I'll keep it short, which is, I'll remind you that I dissented from the select board position on 14. So I
Yeah.
was actually in favor of 14, and I didn't have any compunction being in favor of 14 and being against 36 for all the reasons I explained that I won't re-explain. So I don't actually think, again, I don't think these two articles are at loggerheads with each other. I don't think they're related in any way, and I'm more than happy to speak on behalf of it, John, because you're ambivalent or now opposed to it. That's fine. Because I don't think that changes anything. I don't think this is the right time for a moderators committee on this. For actually what you said is, which is we have an entirely new, with the exception of Melissa, we love you, financial team, and who is in fact taking on BFAC head on and really advancing all of these things. I'll stop talking now.
So, oh, Bernard, you have your hand up.
Yeah, my position hasn't changed with respect to warrant Article 36, and my concern is that it seems to be motivated by the view that the town has not been aggressive enough or responsive enough to getting, pilots, and I just don't think that that's true, and I don't want to give the impression that we agree that the pilot program has been sloppily carried out.
So, from my vantage point, I can totally understand why, from the outside, it feels or looks like we are intransigent. I can't help over the past 5.5 years get cynical when I've seen proposal after proposal try to micromanage the select board. And some of it is well-intentioned. Some of it is out of, I don't want to call it spite, but some people don't want to have the responsibility of being on the select board, but they want a seat at the table. And so they try to go around us. And it's not fair to us. It's not fair to our staff. Things take a lot longer than people expect, even select board members expect. And it's just very frustrating. And I can see how over time, because this has happened to me, I am less willing to work with others who I feel have not set our staff up for success and have taken opportunities to imply, whether it's intentional or not, that they aren't doing their jobs or that they're not doing it that well, and that they could do it better. So I don't have an answer. All I know is that I have served on the board. I know what I know, and a moderators committee, which is, in my opinion, the equivalent of going to mom when dad says no, I'm not going to support. Mike?
Yeah, thanks. So I have a much simpler reason for being opposed to this. This is something that is the responsibility of the select board and the staff, and I don't see where moderators committee has any business mixing into it. It's one thing to say, well, are we doing a good job? And let's take a look at the information. But it's our job to answer the question and provide the information, but not to let somebody else, as you say, have a seat at the table or push us off the table. So I agree. These are two separate issues. You recall that I too supported 14, and I don't have any problem saying 14, yes, but oh, sorry, this one doesn't work.
John?
So if it's not too much to ask, and Miriam, I'm sorry that the burden has shifted to you in terms of the speaking. I would like this to be taken up for reconsideration so that I can change my vote. That's all I'm asking for at this point.
We can certainly do that. Miriam, understanding that will now put you in probably the majority and likely speaking on this. Was
Hey,
that
Mike,
okay?
you want to do this one? No, just kidding.
I don't mind in the least.
Okay,
Yeah,
maybe that's the compromise.
all right, we'll do it.
Okay.
All right, put
Thanks.
myself
So-
down on my sheet, no problem.
We will, before I reopen for reconsideration, I will just say that this is also getting, I promise I will let it go after this town meeting, but I can't help but bring up some of the barbs that have been thrown the select board's way about taking up some warrant articles and not taking up others. And this, really gracious interpretation that we have a vast TV audience that tunes into our meetings every single week. And if only we were to hold a public hearing, then everybody in town would be aware of what's going on. Town meeting has gone against a number of our votes, recommended action. And so it makes me, as a select board member, less likely to want to provide my advice when I am continually overruled or ignored. That's human nature. But I will reopen. Bernard, did you want to say
Yeah,
something?
If I may just add, comment, all due respect. I found that us not having gone through the ZAB articles put me in a bad position in that I didn't really have the insight that we get from dealing with it at the select board. I mean, we can look at what the advisory committee and all these other people do and their hearings, but I think there's a little difference, I missed something by not taking this up at the select board, but that's just my opinion.
Well, and we all bear that responsibility. We all
Yes.
agreed on what we were going to take up.
And
Mike?
I should have spoken up. I agree.
I would say, having chaired the advisory committee at times when the advisory committee was kicked around like a football, and this time around, it's very interesting to see that some of the advice of the advisory committee has been taken more often than ours, and we're the ones being kicked around by a football. Our job is occasionally to be kicked around, and that's okay. I don't mind. I don't bear any resentment to those doing the kicking. Next year, we'll be on the same side.
I'll ask you that same question 5 years from now.
5 years from now, you won't need to ask me that question.
Okay, so let's open, which warrant article is it? 36?
36.
36. Let's move reconsideration on our position for warrant article 36. All those in favor, Bernard,
Aye.
John,
I'm sorry,
This
Bernard.
is-
I thought you were positioned no, but
this is just for reconsideration.
oh, for reconsideration. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep, yep.
aye for reconsideration.
Miriam?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. And then I will move no action on warrant article 36. All those in favor of no action. Bernard,
Yes, no action.
John,
No.
Miriam,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. We should vote on warrant article 41 so that we can assign a speaker just in case it comes up.
Okay.
So there's one tiny change that's been like a line that was stricken.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
I
is
could
this supplement
share my
two?
screen, I
Oh.
can just show it to you. It's probably.
Great.
just-
Do the same thing.
So this is the change.
And let's see.
Okay.
That,
Could
that
you
was
hold on just a
struck
second?
by
My
the,
computer just. Okay,
so they basically are looking to add back that strike through.
Okay, that's what I wanted to, so I do know a little bit about, so what I understand is the petitioners want the original language.
Got it. Okay. So it's adding back a line, not taking
Mhm.
one away. Okay.
I see. That's
The
confusing.
line was
Thank you.
removed, I think, by the AC, is that
Yes,
Right.
correct?
yes.
And the
Right.
petitioners do not support that removal and
This is the line right here.
they want the line put back.
Yeah.
Okay. Bernard, were you going to say something?
No, I was just noting that my computer is screwing up, so I missed
Well,
some
then,
of that.
Let's
I'm
make
good.
this short. Any further discussion about this warrant article? I think most of us voiced our position. Miriam,
I just want to say I support the petitioner's original version.
is the AC still moving their amended? Like, are we really going to be forced to vote on two different versions that only differ by one sentence?
I think so.
Seems that way currently.
And I will know that the petitioners very strongly oppose the AC's amendment.
Okay.
I bet they do. I bet they do.
Could
Well,
we,
really, the whole point, or not the whole point, but a major point of the article is just exactly that sentence. Certainly not the whole thing. but
Bernard,
yeah,
chunk of it.
could I see that again? Because
Sure.
like I said, I lost my screen for a second and I think I missed.
Likely
important-
story, Bernard. No, I'm just teasing.
Well, you know,
I'm just teasing.
the only story I have, and I'm sticking to it.
Thanks, Chess.
Exclusionary zone disproportionate harm fires and where to.
Right. This is the language that advisory struck that they would like returned. So their version differs by one sentence, one
Yeah,
whereas clause.
yeah, I see.
so this is a deal breaker for me. It's a whereas clause, it's a resolution.
Yeah.
I
I mean, I agree. I mean, it's not a deal breaker. for
am
me, but
inclined
I
to the
think it's
pictures.
kind of, it's out of place. I mean, it doesn't really say anything other than the obvious.
Well, it is a bit of arm waving, there's no question about it, but just the same, it is, I mean, it's badly written in the sense that it's not, they should have this in the explanation. But it is the part of the impetus for doing the thing in the first place.
Yeah.
John has his hand up.
Yeah, I'm just trying to retrace what is meant by the petitioner's version versus the advisory committee version. Is the petitioner's final version the version as recommended by the Housing Advisory Board?
I think we only took it up once. So it would really depend on which version it was at the time.
Petitioner's version is the original version. So whenever the housing board, so it depends in if the housing board took it up before or after the AC. And I don't know.
Yeah.
the order.
I mean, we just met yesterday, so it was a month ago. My guess is they supported the petitioner's version.
And my recollection of all of this is that it wasn't so much that clause in the whereases, but the key thing that was addressed in the process of review of the article was to essentially turn it into a more of a discretionary, it's a resolution and the Housing Advisory Board will take it from there.
Yeah.
Is essentially the impact that this has, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Well,
I
this-
voiced opposition at the Housing Advisory Board to having this be yet another new committee that either the select board or the moderator is charged with creating. So they acquiesced, and the HAB actually stepped up and agreed to form a subcommittee.
Great.
So I will move favorable action on the petitioner's motion. Any further discussion?
Boom, 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 boom.
And if that fails,
Yeah.
we'll move the AC's version.
Yeah. I guess my concern is that this clause that they want put back in, and I am not the expert on this, but it is saying that Brookline has exclusionary zoning. And I think the idea of exclusionary zoning implies a certain amount of intent that I think maybe the advisory committee objects to. I mean, any zoning is exclusionary. The question is, did we intend to make it exclusionary by the particular FARs or whatever is in our zoning, so.
I mean, technically, the line just says exclusionary zoning
Yeah,
disproportionately affects.
Yeah.
Does not say Brookline
Yeah, but
and does
you know
not
what-
say
what-
anything
what is
about intent.
intended.
Yeah,
Okay.
it doesn't even define what exclusionary zoning, what is meant by exclusionary zoning, so,
So it's supposed to have emotional impact, and that's what I object to.
yeah.
So you don't have to vote for it, Bernard.
I won't.
Okay. So I will move the petitioner's version. All those in favor of the petitioner's version, if this fails, I will then move the AC's version. All those in favor, Bernard,
No,
John,
Yes,
Miriam,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes,
and the chair votes yes. I think that's probably the town meeting business that we need to take up that we can't put off any further, and we will take up other warrant articles as changes arise on Tuesday. We will try our best to properly notice them.
do we have to assign a speaker on this one?
Yes, and I will be having some offline conversations, begging and pleading. Bernard is off the hook. The last for business is a transportation board appointment that is very important and was recently overlooked. So I will be moving the reappointment of Jonathan Capost, serving a 3-year term expiring in August 2025. Currently, he is on the transportation board, and he is a transportation engineer at a firm in the Boston area, and he has been invaluable at the meetings and to staff to provide, a real expert viewpoint. Any questions or comments before I call the roll? Seeing none, I will move that we reappoint Jonathan to the Transportation Board. All those in favor? Bernard?
yes,
John?
Yes,
Miriam?
Yes.
Mike?
aye, yes, whatever.
And the chair votes yes, aye, whatever. I believe that's our entire agenda this evening. So do try to make First Light. And then see you at town meeting.
Okay, First Light is
Mike?
where?
Go to Coolidge Corner.
Go to
And
front.
yeah.
Starts at 5. I'll be there at 6. See you there. Look for the fire truck.
Coolidge
Miriam?
Corner Or Florida Rough and Ridley.
There's another thing happening at Ridley.
I would start at Coolidge Corner and then work your way up.
is the thing at the Ridley School related to First Light?
Yeah,
Okay,
I think it's kind of an area wide celebration.
I've been once or twice. It's kind of like Halloween, only with no chocolate, no costumes, and lots of lights.
Just like Halloween then.
Mhm.
Just like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
okay.
See you.
All right.